This is Cinema.
And this is Johannes.
And you are watching Board Gaming Rumblings.
And today we are taking a look at the new Descent Legends of the Dark.
It plays from 1 to 4 players in 3 to 4 hours.
Yes, so this is the new dungeon crawling, app-driven, story-based experience from Fantasy Flight. And before we go any more into it, just so you know, this is a review copy. This was provided to us from Asmodee Nordic, so thank you for that. And let's go into it. In Descent Legend of the Dark, you are heroes in Tiranoth, and you are going around killing people, mostly monsters, not so many people actually, killing monsters and doing quests. It is a dungeon crawler, a very straightforward dungeon crawler, which uses an app. It's very app integrated, so you cannot play the game without the app. The second Descent had an app made for it afterwards to make it completely cooperative, just like Imperial Assault also had an app to make it cooperative. And we have played Descent 2.0. We did play that, and we thought it was good.
Yeah, and I was excited to see how they have improved the app here, because the app in the Descent second edition didn't feel like it come with the game, and it didn't originally.
No,
so it makes sense.
Yes. More like but it worked as a way to make the game fully cooperative.
Yes.
But this is made from the base up, like, for example, Journeys in Middle-earth, which we did enjoy quite a bit when we played that and played through the whole campaign after we actually did the review, which we almost never do.
Yeah.
So basically, we're not going to go through any rules or anything like that. You are going to move around on a map on your table. You're going to move to places, and then you might interact with that table. Hey, or a little bookshelf or other things, or people that you meet, and you might attack other monsters and try to kill them before they kill you, and try to do different quests, and that's basically what you are gonna do. Before we go into more review, just so you know, to be upfront about that, we haven't played the whole campaign.
Yes.
We have played
4 scenarios.
4 scenarios, or quests.
Quests.
I also calling it scenarios, but to be thematic of the game, they're calling it quests. Which they are. They are both quests and they are scenarios. Doesn't really matter what you call them. So we have played 4 quests. We have played around 10 hours, which the app logs. So that is both the actual playtime and the time we have spent in between the games in the city, which I'm going to talk a bit more about when we talk about the app.
Yes.
So let's briefly talk about playtime. Like as I said, 10 hours, 4 scenarios. That's like 2.5 hours per scenario, which makes sense. Like the actual playtime has been between 90 and 120 minutes.
Yeah, and I imagine it has been shorter because we played this only 2-player, so might take a little bit more time when you're playing with more. But overall, I think that is a nice span of time for the scenarios that we played.
And if you know us, this is one of those, we are, if you know our channel, if this is the first time you see something that isn't like a Euro game, we are usually into the heavy Euro games, but these kind of games we do enjoy usually, cooperative, story-driven games where we can play them, but then we usually only play them, the 2 of us.
Yes.
So let's talk about the components before we go into. There's many categories in this one because it's a bit there's so many things to go through, like gameplay, app, and the story, and the price, and everything. But let's start talking about the components, what you see in the game.
Yes, I think the quality of components is very good in this game, and it looks like a pretty standard dungeon crawler, but there's 3D pieces, and that is awesome. I think this is a huge upgrade looks wise. I think this it takes a little more time to put together, but not that much. You're going to you're placing like a 3D tree on a space, or you're placing a token. It doesn't take a lot of time. It takes a little space in the box, though. It's a big box.
It's a big box.
It's a big box. But looking at it, different levels of buildings on the table, it looks awesome.
It does. For me, I think this is a really personal thing. For some people, it will not be worth it, but for me, it really makes me I love looking at it. I feel like playing more of a miniatures game, which I never played, but I've seen these 3D terrain pieces and everything, which looks really nice. And to look at this, especially you build it up throughout the quest, and then at the end looking at it, it looks really, really cool.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it really also adds to the theme, setting of the game. Because, for example, you can't move up on something if you don't have a stair. So it really makes you, it's very easy to visualize because you don't have to imagine anything. It's very clear that I can't jump 3 feet up with my character.
That's true.
Makes sense.
I've played Gloomhaven over 100 times. I never missed having 3D components there, but that's a really different game. Like, it's a different style of game, even though it is a dungeon crawler, and it is, but it's kind of different focus for the game. So here, for me, it really it enhances the gameplay for me. And I don't think, like you say, like there's no spoiler in that you're setting up a little bit of the map and you're going to set up more and more, which I do like. I like that you have that reveal. In Gloomhaven, especially like the expansion tried to do off with that, but it was a bit clunky. But I'm going to like compare it to Gloomhaven because that's the dungeon crawler I have played the most. Because we're not usually we haven't played like tens of dungeon crawling games. So I think it's really, for me, basically, bottom line for the components for me is that it's really worth it to have that look.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to add a couple of pictures. You probably have already seen them, so I don't know why I'm saying that from that. One thing I'd like to talk about the artwork is that I have seen many people do not like the artwork in this game.
I don't know why, because
it's artwork though, so it's very subjective.
But it's so beautiful.
It is.
I really like the artwork on the players.
Characters,
Characters. Weapons. I don't know. I haven't seen it all, but I think the characters looks awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I think the artwork is really beautiful. I do understand, like, it's a different style of artwork. I do understand that if you are a huge Descent fan and you want it to look like that, it's not that. It's going to be different. Yeah. So, like all other artwork, it's very subjective, but I do think it looks really good.
So, let's jump into gameplay. This is the good stuff.
Hopefully. Yeah. This is hopefully the good stuff.
Always the good stuff. Okay. But, yeah.
Okay, so gameplay... Gameplay is very basic.
Yeah, it
is. It feels a lot like when we played Journeys in Middle-earth.
Yeah.
Like you have very few actions. Like the way you do actions are different in those two games, so they feel very different. But you're gonna move around, you're gonna interact with things, and you're gonna attack things, and that is what you're gonna do.
Yeah, so like I'm not playing this for the very interesting mechanics in the game. I'm playing it for the different things that a mission can involve that you have to achieve, and making that interesting, and also having a cool story around it. But talking about gameplay, it's very basic in itself.
Yeah.
But I think the new thing that they've added with the fatigue is very interesting.
Yeah, I know there was some kind of fatigue system in Descent, but I do not remember how it worked. So forgive us for that, because we haven't played that in like ages. 5 years.
Yes. But you basically have like fatigue limits on your cards, both on your hero, but also on your weapons and abilities.
Skill cards,
And when they have reached their limits, you can't like add any more to them. You have to turn it around. And on the other side, there's another weapon. There's also other abilities, which also makes you want to manipulate that fatigue, so that you, for example, if I know that I'm going to change to a ranged weapon soon, I might fill up that fatigue so that I can turn it around and lose that, and then I can use all my other abilities.
Oh yeah, I think that's just like, that is the deepest mechanism here.
Yeah.
Because all the time it's like, oh, I'm gonna move 3, I'm gonna interact with this, click in the app and see, oh, that happened, and I might roll a couple of dice and see, oh, it happened or it didn't happen. So I like that, like it adds a bit more depth where you want to put them, like you can both take them for different abilities and you also get them a lot from enemies, from things happening throughout the quest. So really depending on how you play and what character you play, you might end up having like really full supplies of fatigue, and then if you get more fatigue, you're going to start losing or taking damage.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy that mechanism. It really... It makes the game, it really is a lot of the mechanism for me.
And I think it's really clever way to add more depth to the mechanisms as well, because I enjoy the simplicity of the battles itself. Yeah. It's very simple. You roll dice and you see how many hits you have or successes, and then one success is basically, for example, 2 damage on the weapon I'm using.
Yes.
And then you're plotting that into the app, and the app says how many damage the enemies take, and it's tracking the enemy's health points. So that is very simple, and I think that is I appreciate the simplicity of the battles.
Yeah, and I know like in Descent 2.0 you roll like many dice. Here you roll usually 1 or maybe 2. If you take a test you roll 2, and if you roll for damage or defense you're going to roll 1. And what kind of die if you roll a 6-sided or 8-sided or 12-sided, depending on the character you're playing. So that is kind of nice. Like the different characters feels different. Some are better at doing like direct hits. Some are better at using abilities. So it really feels kind of different playing different characters as well, which is pretty nice. One thing though is that you are going to play different characters because you are forced to play characters in the different scenarios. So that means that it's not a game where I'm like in Gloomhaven, I choose my character and I evolve with that character and I play that character until he retires and I get a new character. Here you can swap out characters. We have basically chosen that now we have ended like with 3 characters each, so those are the ones we are going to end up playing. So we're not going to switch them around because then I feel like a bit of ownership to them.
Yeah.
Because I do enjoy that, like this is my character.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed that as well. But I think it's easier in this game to change it up around because learning a new deck in Gloomhaven, it takes a lot of time and you need to really play a few scenarios to try to get like efficient with your deck and not have massive AP problems and just learning how to play in your strength. In this game, there's different characters, but I don't feel like they're like fundamentally in Gloomhaven. You're basically sometimes.
This is not a comparison between Descent and Gloomhaven, so let's try to not.
Just like
I'm just saying to myself
there.
and to you as well, because this is not like Gloomhaven versus Descent. One thing is to go back to the fatigue system, which is not really the fatigue system, but the flipping of the cards. That really also is very interesting because you briefly talked about there being different skills. So you change out your weapon that way, which is an action basically to turn around the card if you don't get a condition on the card, which makes you able to turn it over without using an action. So you can then also like plan for different actions, which makes it and now, I want to have this skill with this ability on my hero cards, trying to have the right combination of flipped cards, which it's a really nice mechanism. Just want to add that in. Like I enjoy the fatigue system, but I enjoy the fatigue system because of the flipping the cards and getting those different actions and making it basically different.
For sure. And some of the characters also have like abilities that says you do this ability and then you flip a card. And then I'm just like, oh no, I don't want to flip it. I want to do that more. And then I have to like kind of try to flip my card again. But using an action on that, you want to kill enemies and move around and interact with stuff as well.
Yeah. So far we have played 4 scenarios, and even though I said like the gameplay is very basic, you move around, you interact with things, see what happens, and then you attack the monsters before they attack you. I have to say that so far I think the 4 scenarios have felt different, very different. Even though the mechanism that is there is very samey, like it's very rinse and repeat, doing these actions again and again.
Yes, I agree, and I was actually very impressed by that because I didn't like from the get-go, from the like first scenario, I thought like, oh, this is interesting, and I didn't expect that from Descent. My memory of this Descent second edition wasn't like this innovative. So I think like creative. I think they've been really creative in the quest design so far of what we've seen.
So let's go and talk a bit about the app.
Yes.
Is it okay for you to go to the app talk?
Let's go to the app talk.
Because you have to use an app, and I know a lot of people do not like apps, and this is not going to be, we're not going to do any discussion about is apps good or apps bad, because I do like apps in board games.
I love this app.
So we could do another video like topical ramblings about our apps in board games.
Thing in itself,
If you want that, let us know in the comments, and we might put something together. But the app here does work really good.
Oh yeah, it's super nice. It does what it's supposed to do. It's really helpful, like tracking things. And if this wasn't an app, like setting like keeping track of the story aspect aside, just keeping track of all the enemies, it's super helpful in the app. And if we had done this like co-op and had to like keep track
also
of that,
have all the enemies,
that would be such a hurdle for me to get over. So I really appreciate the app. I think it works fine.
I really think that is like the upkeep part of the app, and then it's a big part of the game. It's also in the app. As I said, let's take the story and put it away for now and talk about other things, because when you are in the city, which is called Frostgate.
Yes.
Why would they do that?
I don't know.
Why would they call it like almost Frosthaven? That's really strange.
I wonder if they have
I wonder if it was already like a name in like the Terranoff world.
Oh yeah.
It might have been. Hopefully, because that's so. Yeah. When I saw it, I was like, Are we going to Gloomfrost afterward? Like
I don't know.
Gloomhaven? Oh, no, it was really just was a strange thing. You also have, like, when you are there, you can go into, like, you can craft things, you can craft parts for your weapons, so that is pretty cool. You can change out, like, let's say I have a spear, I can change out the haft of the spear or the top of the spear to make it have a special ability that triggers, like, for example,
That is cool.
15% of the
like
time. So you can basically... And this part is feeling more like a video game. Like, this is something you can do in video games. I can go in, I can tinker, and I can craft things. So you pick up recipes, and you can
really
get
cool.
that. And that is a really neat thing.
Yes.
And I think you can basically, I do not know, like, probably because it will be important later in harder missions. I think you could probably just play without that. Like, if you do not think it's fun, not do that.
But it's so simple to get into.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Very simple. So you can.
I never
just,
craft in games, like in video games, because it's a hurdle.
Yeah, but you
But not here.
No problem at all. You see, I do have the ingredients for that. That gives me 10% more damage, for example. I want 10% more damage. That is good. Put it on my weapon.
Yes.
It's that simple.
That's pretty cool, like the items and stuff you can buy there. So the big question, like, which is always with these app kind of games, do you feel still like you're playing a board game, or do you feel like you're playing a video game?
Oh, that is really interesting. We talked about this because we talked about the app in Destinies recently that we gave a review. For me in that game, in the app, it's and on the table, it's just small pieces of terrain, and you can't really, like, interact very detailed with it. And then I had, like, okay, but why do I even have components? Most of it could be in the app, but here I absolutely need the components because I need to see, like, an overview of how far I am from the enemy, how many space it is where I want to go, and it's just like this huge amazing board with 3D components that looks awesome,
like a door.
Yeah, so in this game I have this
totally
table. Different feeling, even though the app is absolutely a big part of this game.
It is.
So I still feel like I'm, in the greatest sense of the sentence that I'm saying, playing a board game first, but like a hybrid-ish.
And it is absolutely a hybrid, absolutely.
Towards the video game genre.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, I am the master of the app usually when we play this, so
Absolutely.
I am interacting more with the app than you are.
Yes.
And reading most of the text.
app master.
I remember when we played Mansions of Madness 2nd edition, and that was like the first app, like the first game which came with an app from Fantasy Flight Games. And I remember, maybe not from the first one with the app, but you know what I mean. I remember playing that, and I was kind of like, oh, when the enemy is doing the same thing again that I had to read. Oh, and he jumps at you and close with you on your face. And they've taken that away. Like, the enemies are saying something here and there, but when they attack, it's like target, boom, attacking, boom.
Yeah.
And I like that. And I do feel like this is a game. I feel like it is, as you're saying, during the upkeep, it's doing all of those things. If you played Journeys to Middle-earth and you felt that was too much of a video game, you're going to feel that here too.
Yes.
Because those are very similar apps. Like in the, there's more like in between the character or in between the quests in this game, but throughout the quest, they are almost the same to interact with. You click a thing, you click interact, it says what you do, you might do a test. Those are almost exactly the same. So I do think that it works really well. Because you also need the board, because it doesn't track enemies, it doesn't track where you are. It's basically a picture of the map, and you click on something if you want to interact with it. It's basically, instead of opening a book and saying, oh, I interact with a tree in quest 4. Oh, it's the tree number 1. Okay. Yeah. You have to do a agility test.
Yes.
So instead of doing that, you get that in the app.
And it's also like remembering or knowing which character interacts with which thing. So it's very, very...
That is new.
Yeah, and I really like that. Yeah. Also, the line of sight checker in this app is phenomenal. I love it to bits. It works perfectly, and it just eliminates all doubt of line of sight, which has been a problem for many dungeon crawlers.
Especially when we played Imperial Assault.
Yes.
We were like, oh, is this line of sight?
And with the ruler from an edge to a corner,
Yeah,
like...
and especially there because it wasn't full co-op, so it was like a conflict of interest there. We're not being like, oh, we're just going to say it's line of sight. So that works really, really well. So basically how it works, you click on a space, and then it just says everywhere where that has line of sight, basically.
Yeah, well, and you could say that, this app could have just like tracked where the enemies are on the board as well. It could have been that, but I don't want that.
Nope.
I want physical things that I can touch and like 3D things that look awesome. And
Boom.
I want that.
Yeah, so should we talk a bit about the story?
Yes.
Because story is also important in these kind of games, and we do enjoy a good story. Is there a good story here?
I think it's interesting enough. It's nothing like mind-blowing,
Nope.
but I think it's more interesting than like, I don't know.
Other games you have talked about?
No, but it gives me kind of what I expect from this kind of game. And
very classic fantasy so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And they've made the characters a little bit with their own personality. I like that, and that's more than I can say about like, for example, what do you call it? The Middle Earth game. No.
Journeys to Middle Earth.
Yes, thank you.
The Lord of the Rings game.
I was about to say Strangers in Middle Earth.
Strangers in Middle Earth. That like Stranger Things meet Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Boom.
I don't know what happened, but I think it's more interesting actually when I click on things, and I think there's some like what do you call it, like I can foresee a little bit about what's going to happen with some trees that you can climb. I know kind of what is going to happen if I climb that tree, but I think that is a little nice to not have it like completely random. But other than that, I think like the story has got me engaged. I'm entertained by the story, but I'm not sitting like, oh, I wonder what happens next.
No.
What a cliffhanger, no.
And we have only played 4 scenarios, so of course the story might be better or it might be worse.
Yeah.
And I'm not in this game to see what happens when I climb a tree. I'm more into like the more overarching story.
That is
like,
what I'm
climbing
going for.
the tree is going to be the
Climbing
biggest.
all the trees.
This is a story of me climbing trees. One thing I do like is that you have some choices in the game.
Yeah.
Like you can choose. And some of them have like immediate response to what happens in the quest, and some of them might change up what happens. We do not know how much because we're not going to play it again and do the other things.
Yeah.
But that is kind of cool. At least it's giving you the what is it called again? Like giving you the illusion of choice.
Yeah.
Which Telltale Games is the best at doing that, which is a video game company, but which doesn't exist anymore. But yeah, absolutely. Like if it's only illusion of choice, it's still feeling like I can choose between these two, and it might kind of change my character a bit or change what's going to happen. So I feel so far that the characters are more interesting than the actual story.
Yeah, so
because
far,
I'm not going to spoil anything about the story, but it's very classic fantasy.
Yep.
Like there is monsters going to come and attack, and you are going to want to kill them.
Yeah.
That is like
the
a very
gist of it. Yes.
gist of the story without going into any more spoilers. And if you thought that was a spoiler, I'm really sorry, but there are going to be monsters in it.
Yeah.
So I think so far, as I agree with you, there's just enough to make me be like, I want to play it, but no, I'm not going back to it for the story.
No.
I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm so much I'm looking forward to what's going to happen in this end next time. But maybe it will be better. We do not know.
Yeah.
So anything else you want to add about the story?
No.
So let's talk about the big elephant in the room, which has been like the biggest thing about this game ever, which is the price. And of course, we paid $0, and I know like that is how it is sometimes. But I was gonna buy the game.
Yeah.
I was sitting at online waiting for it to come in when I got the email from Asmodee. So I was gonna buy the game for the retail price. So just so you know that, you might think I'm lying, but I'm not, because I wanted to play this game.
It's crazy.
No, but I wanted to play this game, and it's an expensive game. And you might say like, okay, it's very expensive because you don't get that much stuff in this game than you do, like for example in Gloomhaven. Gloomhaven is a 10 kilo box of stuff, and it's almost the same price. I do think the MSRP for this is $175, which is a pretty hefty price tag.
Yeah, it is.
In Norway, and this is for us, it's not going to be that expensive, because this is going to be like around 1,500 Norwegian kroner,
Yeah.
and when we bought Feast for Odin, that was 1,100 kroner.
Yeah.
So board games in Norway are really expensive.
Yeah, in general, yeah.
Like they are, the normal price for a board game in Norway is between like $70 to $100 for a new game, and this one is actually going to be around 175. I was guessing it's going to be like 200 or something like that in the stores.
Yeah.
So would you feel like you so far, if I had said I paid $175 for this, would you feel like that was worth the price?
Yeah, I would actually. I didn't want to buy this game.
Nope.
Like honestly, and that is because I thought I was getting just a rehash of Descent 2 and the app from that, and I was not in love with that app.
Nope.
And I'm so glad that this is what I got. And if I knew that this is what I was getting, with the beautiful components and the really cool 3D components and all the miniatures, and also really more interesting, what do you call it, quests?
The quests,
than I thought I was going to get. I'm very happy.
Yeah, I think like one thing, I think it's hard, like this is another topic of rambling basically, like prices of board games, because it's really hard to just say, like looking at just the components, is these components worth this price? Because you have like the app development, you have a lot of stuff going on, you have the game design, you have so much stuff going into the price
absolutely.
because the app is free to download. You could do like, the app was costing $25 and then you pay the rest of the game. That wouldn't feel good either.
No.
So I think like we're not going to go into like a huge discussion about the price. Just wanted to talk a bit about it because other people are talking about it. And I feel like it really comes down to if you think you're going to like the game and get enough play of it. I've heard it's going to be like around 50 hours of play in the campaign. And
it says 3 to 4 hours on the box.
I would guess that's one scenario, or else we have already been super slow to finish the game. but yeah, I think like if you get 50 hours out of it, I would feel like it's not that expensive. Like even though if you only play it once, if you are 3 people, 4 people, or even 2 people just going and buying it and playing 50 hours, it is cheaper than going to the cinema for that many hours, I would guess.
To me? You would come to me and play? No.
Yeah, you are cinema, that's
I'm
true.
cinema.
So if you put on the subtitles, that's your name. So should we do some final thoughts? We have talked about a lot of different things here. I felt like we've gone through most of the stuff, so let's talk about some final thoughts. Do you want to begin?
Yes, I can begin. I enjoyed this far more than I thought I would.
Yeah.
I would like still, for me, Gloomhaven is still my baby, and that is my all-time dungeon crawler favorite.
Yeah.
But I think this also tops Journey to Middle-earth for me so far.
Absolutely.
And so that is not bad at all. So I would absolutely say that I enjoyed my time with this so far. I really want to continue the campaign because I'm enjoying myself so much. I can't really say like, oh, this is why I enjoy this so much, because it's not like an amazing story and
or amazing mechanisms,
it's
or amazing.
pretty standard, but I just like it. It just works.
Yeah.
I think this is a great game. I would want to rate this an 8. I think it works very nicely, and I'm very positively surprised.
Yeah, basically, I think the thing about this game is that everything just works really well together. The mechanisms aren't amazing, but the game flows really well. The actions are simple. The flipping over the card fatigue system is really nice. I think the story or the characters setting, the characters are interesting enough to make me come back and make me actually care to read what's going on, or just skip it and get to the battles. I think that the app works really well. It's fun that you can implement a bit of that looting and crafting things to get to basically make the weapons a bit more your own, and make them feel, oh, I want to have this and these 2 parts to make that weapon be really cool. Oh no, we're going on this quest. I don't really know what's going to happen on the quest, of course. And I feel like everything just works. And as I said before, I probably wouldn't have had this fun if I played these 4 players, because these kind of games are, for me, mostly a game I want to play with you.
Yeah.
But that's not going to make the game less fun, just the way I am when I play this game. So I think this game is really good. I think that there has to be some very good games coming for the rest of the year for this not to end up on a top 10 list. Like,
oh wow!
That
is high praise.
Yeah, but there hasn't been really that many games coming up this year so far.
No, but
so
top 10 is like up there. Yeah.
Top 50 games then of 2021.
That is low praise.
That is low praise. Yeah, but I think this is really fun. And that is it. It's fun.
It's fun.
It's not deep. It doesn't have the best story, but the writing is nice. The artwork is good. Everything looks, and it's just fun. So I'm going to give it an 8.5. I think there is a lot of fun to be had here, and this is one I really want to do. We talked about this, that we want to have like a reason to continue playing it. Hopefully we will be able to do that. So we would like to do like a final thoughts when we have played the whole thing. If you want to see that, let us know, and if enough people want to see it, we might actually play it in the rest like 40 or 50 hours.
Please tell us to play it. We want to play it.
So yeah.
Yes.
A longer review, but this is a bigger game, so there's a lot of things to say.
Yes.
But I think that is the end.
Yeah, it is.
If you are still here and you haven't subscribed, you can do it now. It's free. Click the subscribe button, and that will be it. If you click the bell button, you'll also get notifications when you put out a new video. And that is the end. If you want to do something that's not free, you can also go to patreon.com/boardgamingramblings and support us there. If you don't want to or can't, just don't do it. Just watch the videos and have fun.
Yeah.
And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Johannes.
I'm Sunniva.
And you've been watching Board Gaming Ramblings, and bye-bye.